We'll now move on to the last speaker for this section of the infrastructure track before we all head back to the main stage. So now I would like to give a hearty welcome to Giovanni Lesna, who is from API3. Welcome, Giovanni.
Hi, thank you, Nico. Thanks for that. Let me just quickly, thank you for attending this rapid fire session with me, Giovanni. I'll be taking you through API3 and its products. And in terms of how the session has been designed, I've designed the session with both the kind of native, enterprise blockchain company, as well as for those those enterprises that are new entering into the space, looking to do pilots or proof of concepts. In terms of what API3 does is we work with data providers and data consumers to, in essence, provide Web2 data to Web3. So we've obviously spoken before about how blockchains are so important in terms of the consensus mechanisms as well as cryptography, but one of the most important functions that kind of renders those two superfluous is when we're looking at the data input function, which are data oracles. So what is API3? So API3 is a decentralized autonomous organization. We started in 2018, and we have been working in the blockchain space since then. Limitations drove us to innovate, where we worked with previous incumbents in the data oracle space. And in essence, what we do is we create, Ethereum virtual machine compatible open source software that allows us, in essence, to connect to sorry about that. I see there was an issue on my connection. So I was saying that API3 is a DAO, and basically what we're doing is we are creating decentralized APIs when it comes to that. So we have quite well-known investors in the space, Digital Currency Group, Placeholder, Pantera Capital, that have invested in our project, and we are in essence solving the API3 Oracle problem, which I'll explain shortly. So as a DAO, in essence, what we do is we provide this open source infrastructure to API providers that want to monetize their data to decentralized applications in a trusted first-party approach, and the DAO manages this in a trustless way through their governance process. I've also, these slides will also be available post the call if you go through to our exhibit hall in the booth. So if for those that are more interested in DAOs, you can kind of explore that. There's quite an interesting piece on the evolution of organizations and the demise of the firm, as well as more data oracle context for those that are new to the space. But for enterprises entering into the data oracle space, the most important key things are the first party approach, which allows transparency and greater control over opportunities without third parties involved. So the current ecosystem as it currently functions, there are third party middlemen that are there, and that is where the API3 connectivity problem, API connectivity problem fits in. So if you have designed a blockchain application and you want to consume data into that application on a DeFi application, for example, you wouldn't in essence be able to consume their data, as blockchains have a special way of reaching consensus. So the current third-party solutions that are there, they are insecure. It does expose your data to man-in-the-middle attack. It is expensive because there is a token or token tax. So if you're using certain providers, you'd have to be paying in a token. And what we've done is we've created this open source infrastructure, which is known as the Airnode. And the Airnode is an API gateway that in essence plugs into a REST API, allowing it to then communicate directly with that decentralized applications. So it's a simple Lambda function. It's quick to set up in minutes. It's set and forget, and it's free for API providers to deploy. In terms of how we've designed this product, it does have transparency by design built into it. So it also has GDPR compliance aspect to it. Because it's a first party coming directly from source, the data cannot be tampered with. And as I was trying to communicate earlier with a bit of a glitch on my side there, is that the first party approach will strengthens the use of the blockchain. So if you don't have that, then obviously the consensus and cryptography are kind of useless. So in terms of that, it's a stateless, simple AWS function that can fit into your current REST API. It's free to deploy, built on top of your pay-as-you-go services. And because of the first-party nature, there's also some additional benefits that go with that. So you can also accept, fiat payments as opposed to just cryptocurrency, and also it's maintenance-free. In terms of our product suite, obviously we're solving this Web3 API connectivity problem for smart contracts and decentralized applications. We've got 3 products that meet that. So the first one is called your request response product. And then we have your beacons and dAPIs, which are known as your data feed products. And these are all enabled by the Airnode. And just to kind of re-emphasize this point is that, building, solutions for enterprises in a way that they want to connect to Web3, you need this API gateway or translation layer in order to do that. And just to kind of visualize what that looks like, how does Web2 currently work? So if you're an enterprise, you just joined the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance looking to kind of build out a proof of concept, you're quite familiar with how standard Web2 infrastructure works. So in this example, you'd have a smartphone that would be asking what is the weather in London. Then weather.com would then return the temperature directly. So Web2 calls it directly through the IP address. Whereas when we're looking at Web3, the data needs to actually be on chain in order for that application to consume it, or smart contract. Therefore, you actually need this kind of smart contract, or you need this abstraction layer or API gateway that allows you to bring that data from the off-chain space into the on-chain environment. So just looking at the request response. So in this way, a decentralized application, so as an example, it could be a parametric insurance contract, which is a self-executing smart contract looking at, have certain criteria been met for it to execute. So this decentralized application would look at what the temperature is in London. The Airnode, which is the request response product, the open source software, would then call the weather.com API. That data would then go through the Airnode, which is a serverless function. So no data is ever stored within the Airnode. That data would be written on chain, and then the decentralized application would be able to pick that data up and ingest it into a smart contract. Then when we're looking at beacons, these are also known in traditional terms as your data feeds. So if we're looking at kind of, the DeFi space, the decentralized finance space, a lot of them need a continuous flow of data in order for them to update and maintain their state. So in terms of how that works, it's in essence an Airnode product, but with one addition, a bot, an autonomous bot that is called a keeper or an airkeeper. And what the airkeeper does is it looks at what the previous written price was on the chain, and if that deviates by a certain threshold, it updates the price. So in that way, it would be utilizing gas to continuously update the price, pulling that from a Web2 space. So say as an example, this is the gold USD price, and you'd have a synthetic asset tracking that gold price. The beacon would be updating every 0.5 deviation from that gold price. So if it goes from $2,000 to $2,100, the price feed would then update. And this would be one of our risk protected or risk protection products, which I'll explain shortly. It's a covered service, which I'll also explain. And then looking at our dAPIs, dAPIs or decentralized APIs. So you could look at these as an array of data beacons that are pulling from a few different data sources. So if there is any kind of downtime in one of the providers, a switch over would occur to an alternative provider and update that at a specific deviation. And this is also a risk protected or covered service, which I'll explain. So we believe that we've also pioneered a new paradigm of DeFi monetization. So this is where API3 becomes your partner with enterprises and data providers. API3 handles the operational gas cost in running the beacons or the data feed product. And we provide as a DAO risk protection or coverage. And that is based on like a service level agreement where, you know, certain uptime is required. And the reason for this model is that if you look at DeFi, inherently, when things go wrong, there's no kind of you know, fallback on who to kind of, you know, go to. So with the API3 DAO, we kind of stand as a surety on ensuring that the open source Airnode product that is connected to data providers or large market data providers, as an example, would you know, have a certain uptime and the data wouldn't be manipulated from source as it is run in a first party approach. So this is where if in the event of any manipulation in the beacon or the event of downtime, the DAO would then compensate the end dApp or customer for that. And in terms of that extracts the most value for your enterprise, you know, enterprises generally have a kind of bulk pricing model where they provide pricing feeds or data in a bulk manner. In this way, there's kind of an upside potential to monetize your data at each increment or each ticker set that you would be providing to each user. So how that would work is I've just provided a very high level diagram of the subscription model that we have in place. So let's check the time. Subscription we have in place. And what happens is, if you look at this table, this is on the blockchain on Polygon. What happens is we provide different subscriptions on different tiered basis. So if you're looking at the gold USD price, you'd be paying $250 a month to have access to the gold USD price, and API3 would provide a coverage of up to $60,000 in the event of any downtime in that API or any data manipulation, if that occurs. And what we do is with providers, in essence, $250 per month, we subtract the gas cost, and then we enter into a 50-50 revenue share basis with the providers. So if we're looking at tier 5, it's a $4,000 per month subscription for the same USD gold price, but it does give you up to $960,000 of coverage. So you'd see that as you'd have more total value locked in your DeFi application or your dApp, or it's a large kind of assets under management, you would then obviously go for a larger subscription amount. What we also do is at API3, we work with your Fortune 2000 enterprises. So we work with large financial institutions, large market data providers, and large weather providers. As an example, we actually go through a use case workshop. We understand the requirements, what you're building, what you need, and API3 provides the assistance when it comes to we provide assistance when it comes to anything of the data nature. So we provide that assistance in a workshop. We provide a $0 cost proof of concept or pilot and try and help make that a reality. So my name again is Giovanni, and you know we'd really love to help you navigate Web3 with API. So if you are exploring any use cases that you require data into your smart contract or into your decentralized application, you know, we'd be happy to speak to you. Or alternatively, if you're a provider and you want to actually monetize your data to Web3, a new market segment, we can also have a discussion with you and see how we can make that a reality. I think I'll pass over to Nico for any kind of questions and answers that we may have.
Thanks, Giovanni. I do see one question in the chat. Manas Praharaj asks, do any bridges use API3 today to bridge between layer 1 and layer 2?
No, we don't. We haven't done that as of yet.
Okay.
So no bridges are using API3.
Great. I have a question actually about the DAO. Do you know about how many members there are in the DAO?
In the DAO, I think there is probably about 5,000 to 6,000. I can confirm that with you, but I think that is more or less the amount.
Wow. Okay, thank you. All right, any more questions? I don't see any. I'd like to remind everybody here that if you have more questions or didn't get a chance to ask something, please visit the exhibit hall The speakers will be there. You can pose your questions to them and have a chat with them there directly. So don't forget about the exhibit hall. Giovanni, is there anything else you would like to cover? We still have about 5 minutes or so before we all go back to the main stage. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about API 3 or anything else?
Yeah, sure. I think we're also actively hiring. So we are looking for new business developers and also technical folk that are interested in the data oracle space, especially around data and connecting Web3 applications through the product that we have. So we're always keen for people to reach out to us and to have a discussion. So please reach out to us at api3.org. There are forms there, and you can send through your resume. We'd be happy to speak with you as well.
Nice. And I see you have your email address down there, geo@api3.org. So that's great to share that. All right. Well, everybody, I look forward to seeing you at the main stage. The next speaker is starting at 12:32 Eastern. And again, don't forget about the exhibit hall because everybody will be there and you can have a chat with them then. So thanks again to Giovanni and everybody else in this infrastructure track. And later on, we'll have the second part of the infrastructure track. So thanks and see you then.